In Alabama, they are back in the college football playoff after missing out on the event for the first time ever in 2019, and they're hoping to finish off an ultra-successful season with the program's first national championship since 2017. They're the heavy favorites to beat Notre Dame and also the championship game, which would be the 5th title under head coach Nick Saban. So, Ryan, I know you know what it's like to play for Nick Saban, but Dom, I want to start with you and ask, is Nick Saban the greatest college coach of all time?
I mean, I guess so. You can look at his championships and him being able to build championship programs at 2 different SEC institutions. So, yeah, it's hard to measure up against him with anybody else in the modern era. But, I mean, the person who comes to mind for me is kind of getting lost in the history of all this is Eddie Robinson, like the coach at Grambling. He was there for 56 years, a head coach for an insane amount of time. And he took over that program back in the days of Jim Crow. It was, I think, 1941. At 22 years old, he became the head coach of the Grambling football team. And you talk about coaches who can do multiple different jobs. Like Eddie Robinson really was that guy who was out there cutting the grass, taping ankles, coaching the offense, defense, and special teams. And somehow throughout all of that in Louisiana, he managed to put more than 200 players in the professional ranks. I think he has 4 Hall of Famers, like Pro Football Hall of Famers that he had coached. The man has been incredible. So I think that his kind of on-field accomplishments, they don't measure up to what Nick Saban has done. But if you look at the distance that he traveled, winning 9 black college national championships, if you look at the things that he had to overcome and the impact that he had on the sport, I feel like that's the only person that you could argue, and it's not necessarily because of his on-field accomplishments alone, but it's his ability to have accomplishments on-field while fighting all the other things he was fighting. I'm not sure that anybody else compares to Nick Saban other than Eddie Robinson and what he did down there at Grambling State.
You know, it's so crazy, being from Louisiana and remembering my uncle taking me to the Bayou Classic. And, at the time, I put on my freshest fit for the Bayou Classic. And I was about 12, so I ain't really have a lot, but I put it all on that day. I had on 3 different layers of all my fire stuff. I had on some Jabot jeans. I had a Tommy Hilfiger. I had a bucket UNLV hat. I was ready to rock. And it was just one of those things. Yeah, I was cold now. It was just one of those things when you went to see Grambling play Southern, it wasn't just about football. It was about so much more than that. And so I'm going to get to my argument for Coach Saban, but Dom just brings up such a great point of being in the place, the impact you have on that place, and the lasting memory that you created in college football. Eddie Robinson is all of those things. Now, on the other side, I played for Nick Saban. Right? When Nick Saban got to LSU, we're sitting in the meeting. I'm coming off of a season. I had 110 tackles, 3 picks, 11 PBUs. I still remember it because I was expecting Nick Saban to walk in, point directly to me and say, "You are the man. I can't wait to coach you." Nick Saban looks up at a room full of LSU Tigers, a lot of boys from the boot. We don't know who this little short dude is in the front of the room. And he goes, "Y'all don't look like football players." And then I remember Jack Marucci, who is uber rich. I'm not sure why he's still the head trainer at LSU. He comes to me. He said, "We told Nick all about you. We told him how great you were, how much of a leader you were, how smart you were, how awesome of a player you were. He wants to talk to you personally." So I go up there and I'm ready. I was like, "Oh, I know he about to tell me I'm that dude. I'm going to go first round, all this." He sat in front of me and for 30 minutes, he told me all the things I needed to improve on because I wasn't good enough. And that's the Nick Saban I know. That's the Nick Saban, though, that has continued to grow with this game. 6 championships. You made the Prince Hakeem reference because I got on my super cool New Year's Eve party jacket. But you know what Nick Saban is? When Nick Saban goes to basketball games, people chase him to the bathroom and say, "I can't believe it's you. This is the greatest day of my life." And he don't have to wash his hands when he leaves the bathroom, and they want to take pictures with him. Because he's like Prince Hakeem. Nick Saban is the dude. Nick Saban has changed with the game for how stringent people say he is, for how tough people say he is, for how mean they say he can be. Nick Saban has understood you can't do the same thing year after year after year and still win with a changing game. You got to recruit differently. You got to run offense differently. You got to run defense differently. You got to hire the people that continue to let you move that forward. And he's done that. But he's done that always sticking with the principles of we're going to do what it takes to win games. And here's my greatest yet simplest story into how great I think Nick Saban is. One day, we're at practice. I've always been the same way. Nick's not a very big man. So I'm sitting, and Flossie, his name's Fred Booker, he was my roommate. We're talking. I start making jokes about how little Coach Saban is. Floss looks at me. He says, RC. He didn't call me Deuce. He said, Deuce, you better chill out. You ain't going to play. He turns around and he goes, Nick Saban turns around to Floss and says, hell yes, he is, because all I care about is winning. Now, that's a very simple story. Obviously, I was just joking with him, but that's who Nick Saban is. All he cares about is winning, and that's all he's done. When he gets number 7, ain't going to be no argument that dude is the greatest coach of all time.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree with any of that. And I think the one point that you really touched on that I think is important is his ability to adapt. He's adapted to everything in this game. This Alabama team looks so different from what it looked like before. And he's always bringing in coaches from other places to bring in new ideas. They are not the I formation, bang it out team that they once were. They're now progressed to a modern offense. So, like, I respect the heck out of Nick Saban and what he's been able to accomplish. And he's being rewarded for it. Talk about boy got his own money. That boy got his own money down there in Alabama. He can print bucks anytime he wants. They paying for his house and signing his check. I don't know. I mean, he's getting the rewards that he deserves because he's winning them championships and they giving him anything that he wants. And they are chasing him all over the stadium, getting autographs and pictures no matter what he does with his hands.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.